Welcome to Post Your Title here, another episode of the 2Exceed podcast. Today we're joined by Aaron Smith, Director of Media and Public Relations at LSU Shreveport, co-founder of Malt Shop Marketing. It sounds like you've done a lot of really cool stuff, and we really appreciate you taking time to talk with us today. In particular, I've been interested to see the success that you guys have had at LSU-S. I think over like a 4-year period, you guys got the organic engagement up on social media over 600%.
Mhm.
And and somewhere like was this near the beginning of that time period? And about a year, you also doubled the number of applications and inquiries into the school.
Yeah, it was I would say probably about a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, we were able to do that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, for people who I've heard some people a little bit frustrated with terms like engagement as like a buzzword. Could you break that down a little bit for what does engagement actually mean to like a small business owner or somebody?
Yeah, so on social media, engagement as a whole typically means that people are liking, sharing, commenting, and overall engaging with the post that you put out and with your page and your brand. Ideally, you want them not to just like a post or react to it. You want them to comment on it, start conversations in the comment section, or share it and then start conversations there on their own profiles.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you guys did with LSUS to like get the engagement up over there?
Yeah, so the first thing that we did was instead of looking at social media as just this outward communication where we would just post and expect somebody to see it, that we were putting it out intentionally and on a schedule so that we, one, weren't overwhelming and putting a bunch of posts out there all in one day so
Hmm.
that we were over talking ourselves,
Right. Yeah.
but also we were responding to comments. So when people would comment on our post, we were actually talking back to them. If they were sending us a direct message, we would acknowledge it and respond to them. If they were sharing something of ours, we'd go to their post and go, heart the post or like the post and say thank you for sharing. So it was some small, simple things that really started building an audience for us, that has really paid off a lot in the last few years.
Nice. So it sounds like engagement's not just a one-way thing.
No, no, it's not.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's not just a loudspeaker, it is a phone. There's two-way communication.
Good to know. Yeah, it's interesting too in this era, like the number of businesses that also are like still unsure how to even approach social media. Like, is this a necessary thing, or like can I just like have my Google business page or a website and just one space where I am online?
Right. It's a necessity now. I mean, people a lot of times use social media as a search engine. For the longest time, I'm not sure what the current metrics are, but
Okay.
YouTube was seen as the number two search engine because people would go there looking for particular businesses or find out more information about where they're going on vacation, even.
Hmm.
So I think TikTok has risen and is close to matching that now, if it hasn't already.
Hmm.
So it's necessary.
Yeah, yeah. And I imagine you guys have a little bit of a different market too, with like a university system as opposed to like a small business. You've got a lot of, I assume, active students and like recent alumni, or what's the kind of mix of like
We
people?
do. We have current students, we have alumni, we have potential students, people who are just interested in what LSUS is doing, whether that be on the athletic side or maybe they are an alumni or they have or they're a parent that their student may go here or has gone here. So it's also important for us to be sure that we're putting out the right messages at the right time on the right platforms for the right audiences. Because
Wow.
our current students might be engaging with us on Instagram and potential students, but the moms and dads are over on Facebook and our grad students are on LinkedIn. So we have to tailor those things based on the audience that we're trying to speak to on the different platforms.
Nice. And so the messaging would be a little different, or like the type of post would be a little different on the
Exactly.
platform.
So we are going to have something maybe a little more fun and might include our mascot on something we're talking to current students about or future students, or if we're doing something on TikTok or Instagram, but we're probably not posting that on LinkedIn of our mascot doing, a Valentine's dance to Miley Cyrus's Roses song,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have to you have to tailor the message to the audience.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of businesses wouldn't necessarily need to be participating in the TikTok dances and
Exactly. That is one thing that I do like to hammer home to people is just because the platform exists and there are people on it, and even personally you may like it, doesn't mean your business needs to be there. If people aren't going to be looking for your business there, don't expect your business to be there, then you shouldn't be wasting your time creating content and posting it in that location because that's just sucking up your time as a business owner.
Mhm.
Is there any, are there any sort of blanket across the board must-haves as far as social media goes?
Oh, um, I think that number one, your profile needs to look like your business
Mm,
and it needs to behave like your business. If your profile has the business owner's photo as the profile picture, people may not necessarily engage with it because they're going to think it's a personal page and not a business. Um, and there needs to be a certain tone to the post that you're putting out that sort of match what you're wanting to do with your business. And your business may be something that it makes sense for it to be a little more casual. But in most instances, people are expecting a certain level of professionalism. Um, so they're probably not looking for images of a business owner doing dances on, a TikTok or a Facebook page,
sure.
especially in the world of trucking, right? That's probably not something that people are looking for.
Yeah. So, what's a really interesting sort of feature of the trucking industry is if you're advertising for truck drivers for a trucking company, the trucking company probably isn't going to really utilize something like LinkedIn very much.
Right.
But for an advertising agency to try to reach other trucking companies, we need to utilize LinkedIn because some of the administration is going to be there. Um, I guess uh, I guess my the heart of my question is, are there any social media platforms out there that are sort of like a, hey, you have to have this regardless of industry. Um, uh, you have to it does start with this one. Is there a platform out there that would sort of fit that criteria?
Um, I would probably say Facebook simply because of the breadth of the things you can do with Facebook and the super varied audience that they have.
Mm,
Um, while there may not be a ton of younger folks on it, Facebook is also one of those places where people look to it as a search engine and go looking for businesses and look for events and those kinds of things there. So plus they have the marketplace and they have Facebook jobs and all of those things. So, and there's a lot of groups that are centered around people finding jobs in particular industries. So I think it's important that businesses at the very least have a Facebook business profile where it has information about their business, phone numbers, email addresses, website if they have it, their logo and things about their business, very generically. And then have some regular posting that they do there so that
mm.
it looks like there is life on the page and it's, not something that they abandoned a year ago and have completely forgotten to post anything on. So don't go look at my personal business because that is definitely what happened there. It's a cobbler's child not having shoes sort of a situation.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the same issue often where we'll be much more active on our clients' pages than our own because, as you just said,
Yeah, I liked with those stats we talked about earlier where you guys boosted the were able to get a lot more applications and inquiries into the school. That I'm sure it's not exactly a one-to-one, but that feels a little bit like our trying to get driver leads for recruitment and stuff, where it's like either it's a direct call or it's someone that's just like interested and you can follow up more with them in the future. Or like, how does that work for you guys? Like, can you dig into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so it's a multi-pronged approach in our area. It's definitely I see definitely the benefit of social media being warming up conversation sort of a thing. So you may have people who have never heard of your company maybe find you for the first time through social media. Um, But the more you're able to be in their feed or they see you or interact with you, your business, I mean, it's something where there's less barrier to entry whenever you go to make that phone call or you're following
Mhm.
up with them. There's more of a sense of connection and not just a, wow, this isn't out of the blue cold call sort of a situation. I know for us, it's about building community because we want potential students and their parents to think or know that this is a safe place and this is a place where their students going to grow and learn and be able to better themselves and all of those things. So it's being able to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk and kind of show it in a way by things that
Mhm.
videos we post, pictures that we show, stories that we tell through those platforms, to again make them not feel like total strangers when they come for the first time for a visit or they apply or any of those things.
Awesome. Yeah, like comes to mind like some of the more marketing terms would be like brand recognition or building up like familiarity. But like it sounds like you're approaching it from a more kind of human-centered communication and like more of a more building a connection and a relationship with the community.
It's definitely relationship building for sure. I think a lot of people, again, view it as I just got to get my information out there when it can be used as a tool for much more than that, where it can sort of open that door, build that relationship so people feel more comfortable with you and your business, and doing business with you, whether that be applying for a job or using your services in whatever way. There's it's always easier if you know the person who's working the front desk when you go into a business than if you just walk in and no one's ever seen you before, right? You're probably going to get better service if you happen to know the person sitting at the front desk. So I kind of view it that way. It's and we our social media manager does a fantastic job of responding with people and using a friendly tone and being helpful to people so that way they view us as that resource and as that boost for them, that education can be versus being something that's the big scary monster that, oh, this is gonna, cost me a lot of money and oh my gosh, I'm so scared about it, that we can help bring the temperature down a little bit and ease people's anxieties before they even set foot on our campus.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, speaking of bringing down the temperature or setting a tone or whatever, how do you handle inflammatory comments and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think that's where the public relations, media relations, people-centered sort of really kicks in is that we have to remember that there are keyboard warriors out there who feel very strongly about some things, and they're not always going to agree with the things that you post or put out about your business, and or they could be total spam. But it's never a good idea to argue with people in the comments. Never. Because whether the person you're commenting back to sees it or not, everyone else who comes to your page or sees that post is going to see it. And then they're going to automatically form opinions based on what you said as the business. So it's always good to remain professional. A lot of times when we have gotten comments that have been unsavory in nature, we will typically say, hey, thank you for your opinion. We are so sorry that was your experience. We're going to send you a direct message, and we really like to finish this conversation and see if we can make that right for you. Um, or figure out how to fix the issue. Um, Sometimes you get lucky and the person just never comments again. They don't answer the direct message. They just needed to get it off their chest. And sometimes you'll get in the comments, you'll find out a way that you can make it better for that person, and help them be a better, um, not necessarily carry the torch for your business, but not be so quick to say negative things about your business, whether that be online or in person. Um, and sometimes you'll get lucky, and they'll come back to the comments and they'll say, "Hey, thanks for that. You know, LSU-S or whoever, made it right, and so I'm going to go ahead and take my comment down," or they're just going to respond and say thank you.
I'll
Nice.
jump
But
in.
the public comment in that case is like also largely for the other people that come along to
It
like
is it is
see
much
how you
more for the
respond.
other people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, are there some other mistakes that you see small businesses make, or sometimes large businesses can can misstep on
Oh,
social media for sure. But
for sure. Everybody's gonna make mistakes.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't argue with people. And I would say that when not to spend so much time on social media, we have to remember that the way that they've created these things is to suck us in and keep us there forever.
Yeah.
Oh
Right? They
yeah.
want you to scroll for hours and hours and doom scroll. But as a business owner, you've got a zillion other things you've got going on.
Hmm.
And Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever, it's a tool for you. So set yourself some time limits. Like don't get sucked in to being there all day because you can very easily. And you've got to be intentional about it. So I also like to tell people that if you're looking to respond to comments and direct messages from your followers or things that have happened, give yourself an hour a day. Set a timer for yourself if you have to. Don't scroll forever and be intentional about it. Go to the comments first that you've received, comment back to people, acknowledge people's comments that they've made, or and make sure you respond to the direct messages for sure. And then and then maybe look at your feed and see, are there some other businesses or some people who have been to your page that you want to comment on their stuff? They posted a cute picture of a puppy and you want to tell them how cute it is. Um, right? But only spend an hour a day, or otherwise you're gonna be there forever and then look down and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't do my taxes. So, you know, you have to be sure that you put some boundaries in place for yourself and use the tool as a tool and not as a time suck.
Hmm. Yeah, and make sure whether you're on your personal profile or the company profile that
Oh,
like
yeah, I'm glad
don't
you
get
brought
those
that
mixed
one
up.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of news stories out there of people who accidentally posted stuff on their business page that was meant for their personal. So always be sure that you're logged into your business page or your personal, whichever one time of day it is, right? And check that icon to be sure, which is another reason why your profile picture should be like your business logo and not your business, the CEO's face. It'll be
Mhm.
easy to tell if you're on the right page or not.
Yeah. So whenever we're like running campaigns and things, sometimes it's hard to like quantify like what is a successful campaign or what are the metrics that you tend to look for? And we've talked a little bit about engagement, but like if we could break down like what does that look like more concretely?
Yeah. Um, I think, with social media in particular, when you pull up your analytics for your page, they show you all these things, right? And it can be overwhelming if you're not used to looking at it or if it's not something you do on a regular basis. And it really needs to be, did did all of these post comments, etc., translate into any business? It's not always going to be a one-to-one. It's not always going to instantly equal dollars, but it could be something that's hard to quantify. Like we talked about brand recognition or building relationships and those sorts of things. But it's it needs to be more than just looking for, did I increase my followers? Because I know that that's a lot of what people think that they need to do is bring more people to their page, but
Mhm.
it also has to be about what they're doing when they get there. Are they interacting? Are they potential customers? Are they current employees? Are they future employees? That kind of a thing. Um, and and I think whenever you are looking at you know, putting an ad out there, say, I know we've mentioned, finding more drivers, right, for a trucking company, that you have to be sure that when you're doing that stuff sort of in the back end, that it's not, that you're choosing the right goal, right? You don't want to just increase your follower count, get more visits to your page if there's nothing for them to do when they get to the page.
Mhm.
So be sure that you're sending them to the right location, you have the right call to action, that if you're wanting to find drivers, you need to say that up front. Like, we're looking for drivers and
Oh
send
yeah.
them to your website to fill out the application or the post that you have where you've put the application or any of those things and just be very specific about that so that you can more easily see and track to be sure that you are achieving that goal or moving the needle anywhere toward it
Hmm.
with the things that you're doing.
Sure. Yeah, and it seems like the building a follower account's a good example too. Something that I feel like had a lot more meaning like 10 or 15 years ago. And now it feels like this conversation has also been going on a long time where Facebook is becoming more pay to play. But you could find examples of that 10 years ago too, where it felt like we had already gone pretty far in that
Yep.
direction. But uh,
Yeah, with the
basically,
algorithm changes, yeah,
yeah.
it we definitely have to remember that they're not a utility like the water company or the phone company, right?
Mhm.
Um, they exist to make, I mean, those people do too, but they exist to make money. And so the more they can encourage you to spend money on the platform to keep more people on their platform, then the more they can use those metrics to turn around to an investor and say, oh, well, we have this many people on our platform every hour or whatever. So they want to use your money and your engagement and things to help boost their own. So it's they see it as being advantageous for you to put money into the profile, which is why they are encouraging that more and more.
And one thing that we use, I think you've already kind of been going that direction, but a lot of platforms, when we're advertising, will be sure to use an external landing page so we can verify the amount of traffic and the leads and things that are coming in. Uh, have you noticed that being an issue sometimes when you're like trusting the platform as the primary source of metrics for like how many views did this get, how many clicks?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell with social media. Like you say you had this many impressions, but the reach was this. The two numbers don't match. So tell me how you're getting this one versus this one. So yeah, having those landing pages where you can track it through Google Analytics or your own back end or whatever to see the one-to-one really can make a difference. And then two, then that gives you the opportunity to potentially retarget those people to send them follow-ups or if they didn't take that action that you wanted them to take on the page, but they clicked to get there to follow up and say, hey, we noticed that you did this. Is there anything that I know we do that with applications, right? To say, hey, we noticed you came and you started an application, but you didn't finish it. Was there a barrier for you there? Um, is it because you had to pay an application fee? Are you waiting on a transcript? Like, what can we do to help you, you know, get to that finish line, right? And hit add to cart and complete or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, having those is a huge benefit where you're not having to just rely on the platform to tell you what happened. You can verify that that is what happened.
definitely. And there are so many differences with like the different types of like ads or like on Meta or Facebook, you have the option to boost a post as opposed to like setting up a whole campaign. And so it's not always the easiest option that's actually the best use of your funds. But
Correct. Yeah, I mean it's real easy to hit that boost button and think that it's gonna do work wonders for you and really
Mhm.
expand your reach and all those things. But the problem is that when you just boost it, you have less control. So they may be putting that post out to people who are nowhere near you or not in your audience. They're not beneficial to you at all. Whereas if you go in the ads manager side, you can sort of control those things. If you need to set a radius or people who have certain interests that you're looking for, then you can get much more granular and be a little more sure of who you're reaching or targeting, and the right people getting your message versus just it being the gunshot approach to, everybody listen to me.
Any other like examples that come to mind of like things that have surprised you with like your successes on social media or
It has been interesting to see the level of engagement vary so much across platforms and across audiences. Um, because all of them operate in such different ways and because we're talking to different people on different platforms. So, like I mentioned earlier, our grad population, we have a ton of conversations and engagement with them and potential grad students on LinkedIn. And the younger crew, we talk mostly with on Instagram. We have a TikTok. We were posting there and we were getting some engagement, but it was not nearly as impactful as what we were doing on Instagram, which we found to
Mm.
be the opposite of what we were hearing from a lot of other institutions that were similar to us. So we try to do a little bit in both spaces, but the conversation piece of it happens much more on Instagram than it does on TikTok, which we were definitely surprised by. But when it is graduation season, for us, Instagram blows up. Like those people who were on LinkedIn find us on Instagram and start tagging us in all their photos. So we're getting grad and undergrad people on Instagram, and then we live stream our commencement exercises. So then we also get a ton of engagement on YouTube from all their families from around the world who are commenting and watching the live stream. And
Wow.
yeah, it's the commencement day and watching the live stream, like just watching the comments will restore your faith in humanity as
It's good.
opposed to being anywhere else.
It's good to have like a
Wow.
seasonal positive thing too
It
to
is,
like
it is.
build
And we
up.
get one once a semester, so it's great.
Are you able to take those some of those clips or videos and sort of like break them down and use them for promotional content just for some warm fuzzies?
Oh yeah. So we take a ton of photos obviously on graduation day, but at different events throughout the year, our photographer slash videographer
Mm.
goes and gets video clips and we put those together for advertisements that we run, not just on social, but on TV, as well. Put those together as I know we've done some that have been sort of a roundup of the year and um thank yous to people, especially like Valentine's Day coming up. We have something that we've been talking about, rolling out for that to say thank you for all the love that we get on social media or the numbers that we've had, the support from the community, etc. Um, so yeah, it's nice to be able to relive those moments when we go back and put them into other things.
Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering about that, like how often you're able to like not exactly recycle content, but like you can definitely preserve things for future use or reposting or
We use it internally too, because at the beginning of the fall and spring semesters, we typically have a campus-wide kickoff thing for all the faculty and staff before the students come back. And so we'll do a recap video to kind of kick off the event that because sometimes you get so busy doing the work, you forget all the great things that you did throughout the year. And so it's nice to sort of have that reminder. And it's a little bit of a motivator to remember, hey, we did some really great things last semester and we had some fun and we had these, good things happen. So let's build off of that. It's kind of gives a sort of, I don't want to say a pep rally because it's not really a pep rally. It's a really long meeting, but it's,
Mhm.
but it's nice to have that boost to start the day.
Do you get a sensation of like where things are going in the maybe medium term or like any projections for where do you see social media going for businesses over the next, say, 5 or 10 years?
I mean, I think video, I mean, it's already the thing that really gets more engagement and more views with Reels and TikTok and stories and all of those things. And I think it's going to continue to move in that way.
Mhm.
Um, I think that, one thing that we have to sort of remember is that people are consuming content mostly on a small device. So it is imperative that we're making sure that people can see the things that we're doing, they can hear it, and they also have the option to turn it off and be able to just read what we're putting on.
Yeah.
But then there's also the move toward more long form content like podcasts. So people like to be able to turn those things on in the background and listen to them. And but I think doing a podcast is also one of those things, just like this. Like it has to make sense for your business and it has to make sense for a potential audience. Um, there is a million and one true crime podcast. Does there need to be another one? Right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be an angle or something that brings value to it. And if it's not going to bring value to your business, is it worth investing in the equipment and the time and resources
Hmm.
to do it, just like learning a TikTok dance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've noticed a real trade-off with that kind of thing, and also like back to the kind of organic social media thing. Like you may be saving money by not paying for it, but how much more time are you wasting in the like trade-off of like making it more complicated for yourself? Uh,
exactly. And and I know that, a lot of times people will come to businesses and want them to, invest in doing billboards or TV, and all those things may be great for your particular business, but it's also you have to weigh the costs of those things and the investment that you have to put into them versus could I do something similar with social media and be more targeted or very specific and reach the people that I know I need to reach and have a one-to-one conversation versus just blasting into the ether. Like we were definitely doing in the beginning with social media on our campus, where, can you flip it and make it work leaner, faster, more efficiently for you?
I mainly wanted to know about I was really, really curious to know, like, how you handle spicy comments and stuff like that. Because
mm,
I've heard a few different theories or approaches. I've heard that even if it's like super controversial or whatever, don't delete the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We definitely subscribe to that. Yeah, if it's a comment that is a little spicy, we don't delete them. I will say that there has been times where we have people have used expletives, and I
yeah,
will direct message them and I will ask them, "Hey, will you remove the expletive or use a different?" Because if you leave the expletive, according to our policy, I'm gonna have to delete your comment, and I don't want to delete it. I want you to be able to leave it, but can you just change that? And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure. You don't want me to take it down?" And they'll be a little surprised by that.
yeah.
But yeah, we leave it up there, and a lot of times, before we as the business are even able to respond and say anything to the people, a lot of times other followers will have something to say. Um, and while we don't, as a business, we don't want to argue in the comments. Sometimes other people will do that. And I know that that sounds terrible, but that is good for our engagement because there are people having,
absolutely.
conversations in the comment section, which gets more eyeballs. So you don't want to start controversy by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes just saying, Merry Christmas can be controversial for some people, and that's not how it's intended at all. So, or saying happy holidays in the reverse, right? Like some people just, again, like we said earlier, are keyboard warriors and they just need to say something. It's a compulsive behavior. They just can't keep themselves from having something to say. So,
Yeah.
surprisingly, those are the ones when we have holiday messages and wish somebody a happy something, that those are the ones that we typically get responses for, which is strange to me, but
Yeah.
People got opinions. That's
they do about everything.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. It's interesting too. Like, it's hard to quantify on Facebook for me, but definitely on like some of the other platforms, you notice a lot of just the bot content and at least in Facebook and Meta, we've noticed a lot of messages that are obviously from like bots or spam accounts and stuff. Like,
A ton.
yeah,
So we used to stream our commencement exercises on Facebook, and we had to stop doing it because there were so many bots and spam comments and people trying to lure people to other pages to watch the live stream that weren't legitimate. And so they were spamming our, not just our feed and the comments on the live stream, but also potentially hurting any of our
yeah,
audience. So we quit live streaming on Facebook for that reason and moved all the commencement live streams to YouTube because they are much better at the comment moderation, and you can also do a delayed commenting feature and have review things set in based on certain parameters. So it has been a fantastic shift for us to only do that there because of the number of times that we've had. And in those situations, whenever they do those spammy comments, now those we do remove and we will ban the user. And it was so bad at one point, we would ban the user, they would create a new profile and then come back and keep doing it over and over again, where we were spending almost the entire commencement ceremony with our team seeing those comments and having to hit ban user, over and over and over again. And it was just exhausting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we made that switch and have not looked back.
Nice. You
Very
haven't had
cool.
as much of an issue with like comments on posts, though. Uh, the live streaming
No,
is the biggest.
we we do occasionally, but
Mm.
really and truthfully, whenever we post about an event, that's when they seem to come out of the woodwork.
Hmm.
And I know it's because we have a lot of followers and we have a big audience and we have
Yeah.
good engagement and whatever. So of course that's why they're targeting us. But yeah, they'll do it whenever our athletics department posts about a live stream for a game too. So it's just interesting what those bots are and spammy people are out there
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm
focusing.
curious to see how that goes over the next few years, if that improves
Yeah,
somewhat. You would think that could be better. The control could be automated somewhat, but kind of an arms race, I guess.
yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And for somebody that wants to learn more about social media or like getting into this kind of job, should they try to look into LSU-S or do you have any particular direction where they should
A
go?
100%.
Okay.
Um, our continuing education department is constantly offering classes about social media and running a business and optimizing things to make them work for you. Some of them are in-person events you can come to listen, and then some are, completely online and you can teach yourself as you go. So
Awesome.
we always have options to help businesses grow, expand, learn more, diversify, et cetera, et cetera.